welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, it's always great to have listeners who are eager to learn more about real estate investing.
Absolutely. So we've got a really interesting topic lined up for you today. MLS Hacks for investors.
Right. These are those little tricks and tips that can make a big difference in how you navigate the market.
Exactly. You know, a lot of people think the MLS is just for real estate agents, but there's so much more to it.
For sure. If you know how to use it effectively, it can be a goldmine for finding the right property.
Yes. We'll be diving into things like how to set up alerts, what to look for in listings, and how to spot opportunities that others might miss.
And we'll also share some common pitfalls to avoid, so you don't waste your time on properties that aren't a good fit.
Plus, we'll discuss how to analyze listings quickly, which is super helpful, especially if you're busy or just starting out.
Yeah, the quicker you can sift through the noise, the better your chances of finding that perfect investment.
So, whether you're a seasoned pro or just dipping your toes into the real estate waters, there's something here for everyone.
Let's get into it.
Right. So first up, let's talk about how to set up those MLS alerts that can really keep you in the loop.
So, with everything going on in the economy right now, it's really crucial for folks over 40 to think about how they're investing in real estate, right?
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, a lot of people are starting to think more seriously about retirement, and the timeline can feel a bit tight, especially with rising inflation and market shifts.
Exactly. Someone I spoke with recently, let's call her Lisa. She's in her early 50s and feeling the pressure. She was worried about her retirement savings not keeping up with inflation, and she realized that relying solely on her 401k just wasn't going to cut it.
That's such a common concern. With inflation rates fluctuating, it's like you're constantly trying to catch up, right?
Right. And real estate has historically been a solid hedge against inflation. When prices go up, so does rental income, and that can really help maintain purchasing power.
Yeah, and for someone like Lisa, investing in properties could not only provide cash flow, but also build wealth over time. I mean, think about the long-term benefits.
Exactly. She started looking into multifamily properties, which can be a great way to generate multiple income streams. It's not just one tenant paying rent, it's several, which diversifies her risk.
And with the current market trends, it's also about timing. The pandemic shifted a lot of dynamics in real estate. People are moving to suburban areas, and there's a growing demand for rental properties outside of major cities.
That's a good point, Sarah. I heard from another investor, Tom, who's in his late 40s. He had been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment to invest, but then realized he was missing out on opportunities. He jumped into the market during the pandemic and found some great deals.
Wow, that's inspiring. He really took advantage of the market shifts, huh?
Yes, and he also started to think about his family's future. With wealth transfer being a big topic for many, investing in real estate can create a legacy for his kids.
That's such a powerful motivator. Not just building wealth for ourselves, but also for our families. It adds a whole new layer of emotional security.
Absolutely. Tom found that by investing in properties, he could not only secure his retirement, but also leave something tangible for his children. It's like planting a seed for future generations.
I love that analogy. And for those tuning in, it's about looking at real estate as a tool for financial security, especially in uncertain times.
And I think it's important to acknowledge the emotional side of this. A lot of people in their 40s and 50s are feeling the weight of financial insecurity, and investing in property can really alleviate some of that stress.
Yes, it's like building a safety net, a tangible asset that can provide peace of mind, knowing that you've got something solid to fall back on.
Right, and let's not forget about the current economic trends. Interest rates are still relatively low compared to historical standards, which can create some favorable borrowing conditions for investors.
Exactly. And for someone who's just getting started, that can be a game changer. It allows them to leverage their investment and potentially acquire properties that would otherwise be out of reach.
And the key is to be strategic about it. Finding properties that are undervalued or in up-and-coming neighborhoods can lead to substantial long-term gains.
So true. And with the MLS, there are tools and resources available that can make this process a bit easier, especially for those who might be feeling overwhelmed by it all.
Yeah, like you can set alerts for specific criteria or neighborhoods. It can save so much time and give you a leg up on opportunities before other investors even know about them.
That's a great point. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive. And for those over 40, it's about maximizing every opportunity to build that wealth for the future.
Exactly, Sarah. And let's not forget the emotional aspect of making these investments. It's about feeling secure and knowing you're taking steps toward a more stable future.
Right. It's about empowerment too. When you take control of your financial future through real estate, it's not just about the money. It's about feeling confident in your decisions.
Well said. So as we dive into some core strategies, I think it's important for our listeners to remember that these investments can be a pathway to not just financial stability, but also peace of mind as they navigate their 40s and beyond.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. Let's get into those strategies and help our listeners take those first steps.
So, Sarah, when we talk about MLS hacks for investors, it's really all about understanding the numbers, right?
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, if you don't have a grasp on the numbers, it's like trying to navigate without a map. What would you say is the first rule of thumb investors should keep in mind?
A great starting point is the 1% rule. Basically, it means that the monthly rent for a property should be around 1% of the purchase price. So, if you buy a house for $200,000, you should aim to rent it out for about $2,000 a month.
Right, and that gives you a quick gauge of whether a deal is worth pursuing or not. How do you apply that in real scenarios?
Well, let's say you're looking at a property listed for $250,000. You'd want to find out if it can generate at least $2.500 in rent. If it's only going for like $1.800, you might want to reconsider that investment.
Got it. So it's a quick filter. But what if you're looking at a property that doesn't quite meet that 1% guideline?
That's where digging deeper into the numbers comes into play. You might want to apply the 50% rule. This is where you estimate that about 50% of your rental income will go towards operating expenses, things like property management, repairs, and taxes.
So if you're planning to rent that $250,000 property for $2.500 a month, you'd expect to spend about $1.250 on expenses, leaving you with $1.250 profit, right?
Exactly. And from there, you can evaluate your cash flow and see if it makes sense with your financing options. Speaking of financing, do you think it's important to consider your mortgage terms when evaluating a deal?
Definitely. The type of financing you choose can significantly affect your cash flow. For instance, a 30-year fixed mortgage might have lower monthly payments, giving you more cash flow initially.
But it also means you're paying more interest over time. That's where understanding your long-term goals comes in. If you plan to hold the property for decades, the 30-year could be beneficial. But if you're looking to flip, maybe an adjustable rate mortgage could be better, at least initially.
Right. And what about the cap rate? How does that fit into the picture?
The cap rate is another crucial metric. It stands for capitalization rate, and it helps you assess the potential return on investment. To calculate it, you take your net operating income, divide it by the property's purchase price, and multiply by 100 to get a percentage.
So, if that property generates $15,000 in net operating income annually, and you bought it for $250,000,
you'd do the math like this. $15,000 divided by $250,000 equals 0.06, and then multiply by 100, giving you a 6% cap rate.
And a higher cap rate generally indicates a better return, right?
Exactly. But you also want to compare it with other properties in the same area to see if it's competitive.
So let's say you're looking at a neighborhood where the average cap rate is around 5%. If you find a property with a 7% cap rate, that might signal a better investment opportunity.
Right, but you should also investigate why that property has a higher cap rate. Sometimes it could be due to a higher risk factor.
Good point. Now, what about deal evaluation checklists? Do you have a go-to list that you recommend?
Yes, I do. First, I always assess the location. Is it in a desirable area? Then I look for comparable sales. What are similar properties selling for?
And after that, you'd want to check the property condition, right?
Exactly. You can't overlook things like the roof, plumbing, and electrical systems. A thorough inspection is key. Then, I consider the potential rental income, applying both the 1% and 50% rules.
Great. And don't forget about the exit strategy. What's your plan if the market shifts or if you need to sell or refinance?
That's crucial. you should have at least 2 exit strategies in mind. Maybe you plan to hold for rental income, but if the market goes up, you might decide to sell instead.
And what about diversifying your portfolio? It seems like a smart move as you build wealth.
Absolutely. Diversifying can help mitigate risk. If you can, consider investing in different types of properties or even in different markets.
That way, if one market dips, you're not completely exposed. Speaking of exposure, let's talk financing options again, briefly. What are some common options investors should consider?
Well, traditional mortgages are a go-to for many, but there's also private financing, hard money loans, and even partnerships. Each has its own pros and cons.
I imagine the terms can vary widely, too.
They do. For example, hard money loans usually come with higher interest rates, but can be a quick way to secure funding if you need to move fast on a deal.
And partnerships can help you pool resources, but also require trust and clear agreements.
Exactly. So it's important to know what you're comfortable with.
Before we wrap up this section, what would you say are some common pitfalls to watch out for when using these strategies?
Well, one major pitfall is underestimating expenses. Many new investors assume their expenses will be lower than they actually are.
That's a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new property and forget about potential costs.
Right. And then there's the risk of over-leveraging. It can be tempting to take on more debt for bigger properties, but that can lead to serious financial strain.
So keeping a balanced approach is key.
Absolutely. And always have a cash reserve for unexpected expenses or vacancies.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit on the core strategies and rules of thumb for using the MLS effectively.
Yeah, it's been a good discussion.
And transitioning into those common pitfalls.
So, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with new investors is over-leveraging.
Oh, definitely. It's so tempting, right? People think they're being smart by taking on as much debt as possible to maximize their investments.
Exactly. And, they often overlook the reality of cash flow. I had a client once, let's call him Tom. He bought a property thinking he could rent it out for a higher price than the mortgage.
Right. That sounds familiar. But what happened?
Well, he got into the property and the rental market shifted. He ended up with tenants who, let's say they didn't pay on time. And suddenly, he was stretched thin, trying to cover the mortgage out of his own pocket.
Ouch. That's tough. So it's really about doing proper market research beforehand, isn't it?
Absolutely. You need to know what rents are like in that area and, what your monthly expenses will actually be. I'd say always have a buffer.
Right, like an emergency fund, just in case.
Exactly. And then there's bad tenants. That's another common mistake. I mean, you can do all the background checks you want, but sometimes people slip through the cracks.
Yeah, it's so important to trust your instincts, too. I had a friend who rented to someone who seemed great at first, but then they turned out to be a bit of a nightmare.
That's a classic scenario. They stopped paying rent, and it took months to evict them. Meanwhile, my friend was losing money and dealing with property damage, too.
Ugh, that's a nightmare. So, what's the lesson here?
Well, trust but verify, right? I always tell my clients to dig deeper. Ask for references, check their rental history, and maybe even meet them in person before signing a lease.
That's a good point. And there's also the issue of ignoring cash flow.
Yeah, that's huge. I once had a student who was so focused on the potential appreciation of a property that he completely ignored the cash flow.
What happened?
He bought a fixer-upper thinking it would skyrocket in value, but he didn't budget for repairs correctly, and the cash flow just didn't work out. He was barely breaking even.
Wow, and that can really lead to financial stress, can't it?
For sure. And it's not just about the repairs. There are hidden costs, too, like property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and unexpected repairs.
Right. Those can add up quickly.
I had another client who was blindsided by a huge plumbing issue right after she purchased a property. She thought she had budgeted everything, but plumbing isn't something you can just ignore.
That's such a good reminder. It's like you need to have a worst-case scenario mindset when budgeting.
Exactly. And that brings us to timing the market. A lot of investors think they can time when to buy or sell perfectly.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Laughs. Yeah, I've seen it too many times. One investor I know waited for the perfect moment to buy in a hot market. But by the time he jumped in, prices had already shot up.
That's such a common mistake. The market is so unpredictable.
Right. Instead of trying to time it, I always suggest focusing on long-term strategies. If the fundamentals of the property are solid, you'll be better off in the long run.
Definitely. It's like, if you find a good deal, don't let the fear of the market stop you.
Exactly. And if you're doing your homework and you understand your numbers, it'll help you feel more confident when making a decision.
So, if someone is in a situation where they've made one of these mistakes, what can they do to recover?
Well, the first thing is to assess the situation honestly. Look at your cash flow, your expenses, and your current tenants.
Right. And don't be afraid to make tough decisions, like evicting a bad tenant or even selling a property that's not performing well.
Absolutely. It can be hard, but sometimes it's necessary for your overall financial health. And remember to learn from these experiences.
Yeah, take those lessons and apply them to your next investment.
Exactly. And always be on the lookout for red flags, whether it's in tenant applications or property conditions.
So keeping a checklist of things to watch out for could really help.
Yes. And, networking with other investors can be invaluable too. They can share their experiences and insights, which can save you from making the same mistakes.
That's such a great point, Mike. Having a community can really provide support and help you feel more secure in your decisions.
Definitely. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being informed and adapting as you go.
Well said. So what's next for our listeners?
Start by evaluating where you are right now. Look at your investments, your strategies, and see if there's anything you need to adjust.
And don't hesitate to reach out for advice or mentorship if you feel stuck.
Exactly. There's always room for growth, and every mistake is an opportunity to learn.
That's the spirit. Let's keep moving forward and build that wealth together.
Yes, let's do it. All right, Tara. So let's dive into some immediate steps our listeners can take, right now to get started with these MLS hacks.
Absolutely. I think the first thing is to get familiar with your local MLS. If you haven't already, see if you can get access to it, either through a real estate agent or by joining a local real estate association.
Yeah, that's a great point. Getting that direct access gives you a front row seat to the market. You can set up alerts for new listings that meet your criteria, so you're always in the loop.
Right? And once you have that access, it's all about using it effectively. Start by filtering properties based on your investment strategy. Are you looking for flips, rentals, or maybe both?
Exactly. And don't forget to look at the historical data, like days on market, selling prices, and price reductions. Those insights can really guide your next move.
Speaking of insights, there are some fantastic apps out there that can help. For example, Zillow is great for getting an overview of property values and trends. You can also use Rentometer to gauge rental prices in your area.
Oh, Rentometer is handy. And for people who want to run some numbers, the BiggerPockets calculator is super user-friendly. You can analyze cash flow, ROI, and more.
For sure. And if you're into analyzing deals, DealCheck is another solid option. You can evaluate multiple properties quickly, which is a real time saver.
And let's not forget about habit building. It can be really beneficial to set a goal for yourself, like analyzing one deal per week. Just pick a property, run the numbers, and see what you come up with.
Yeah, starting small like that can build your confidence. And it's a manageable way to get into the habit of looking at properties regularly.
Absolutely. Also, consider joining a local real estate meetup group. It's a great way to network, learn from others, and share experiences.
Right. Plus, you never know what opportunities might arise from those connections. Sometimes it's all about who you know.
And while we're at it, let's talk about books and podcasts. There are tons of resources out there. The book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner is a must-read.
Oh, I agree. And podcasts like BiggerPockets Podcast are fantastic for hearing real stories and strategies from other investors.
And don't forget about the Real Estate Guys podcast. They cover a range of topics and often have great guest speakers who can provide fresh perspectives.
These resources can really help you stay motivated and informed as you navigate the real estate world. It's all about keeping that momentum going.
Totally. The key is to take action, even if it's just small steps at first. Maybe you set a goal to visit one property a month, or even just drive through neighborhoods you're interested in.
That's a great idea. Just getting out there, seeing properties in person, and actually experiencing the market can be incredibly valuable.
And remember, it's okay to start where you are. If you're not ready to buy right away, just immerse yourself in the learning process.
Exactly. Every little bit of knowledge you gain adds up. And, reflecting on what you've learned is just as important as the learning itself.
Right. And as you dive into this, keep a journal or a digital log of your thoughts, deals you're analyzing, and any insights you've gained. That way, you can track your progress over time.
That's such a good tip. It helps not only in honing your skills, but also in recognizing patterns or opportunities as you go along.
And don't be afraid to reach out for help or advice. Whether it's through forums, social media groups, or mentors, the real estate community is often very supportive.
Yes! Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals can really keep you motivated. It's all about building a network that encourages growth.
So, those are some practical first steps to get you moving forward. With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to explore the real estate world with confidence.
Absolutely. And as you start implementing these strategies, remember that it's a journey. There's always more to learn and discover along the way.
So as we wrap up, let's recap some of those key takeaways from our discussion on MLS Hacks for investors.
Absolutely. One of the biggest points was understanding how to leverage the MLS to find those hidden gems, right?
Yeah, exactly. The MLS isn't just for realtors. It's a fantastic tool for investors too. You can spot opportunities that others might overlook.
And then there was the importance of building those relationships with agents. A good agent can really help you navigate the market and find deals that fit your criteria.
Right? Networking is crucial. And it's not just about finding properties. It's about creating a support system in the industry.
Definitely. Another takeaway was using filters effectively to narrow down your search. With so many listings, having the right criteria can save you a ton of time.
And let's not forget about being persistent. Sometimes, it takes a bit of digging to find the right investment, but it's worth it in the end.
Absolutely. Building long-term wealth through real estate isn't an overnight journey, but with strategy and patience, it's totally achievable.
For sure. So if you found value in today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and maybe even drop a comment about your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have.
And don't forget to share this with someone over 40 who's looking to dive into property investing. It could really make a difference for them.
Oh, and next time, we'll be talking about real estate bird dogs, how to pay them.
That's going to be a fascinating one.
It really will be. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, every step you take in real estate brings you closer to your financial goals.
Yes. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.